This is the number of stormtroopers defeated in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Yes, that number is over 1.5 billion. What's up, guys? My name is Blitzwinger, and today we're taking a look at a really incredible looking infographic from LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. I know what you're saying at this point, Blitz. Are you serious right now? What is this, homework? Is this school? We're really taking a look at an infographic? Yes, we are, because this one is actually really wonderful. And in addition to that, it actually reveals a lot of really cool information about the game itself, some of which you will definitely find surprising, because I certainly did. In fact, as you're watching this video, pay attention and let me know down in the comment section below which of these pieces of information shocked you the most. With that in mind, let's dive on in. So first and foremost, as I kick things off, of course, the number of stormtroopers defeated in this game currently sits at 1.5 billion, almost 1.6 billion stormtroopers defeated, which is insane. I really genuinely am stunned by that particular number. You know those pesky Kyber Bricks that all of us are trying to go on ahead and collect within the game, the total number of which is 1,200, which is kind of crazy to even say, but do you want to know how many of them have been collected so far by all the different players across the world? Well, that number would sit at 751 million. That means that we are well on our way towards that 1 billion mark for Kyber Bricks collected. Maybe you're curious about which of the Star Wars episodes is the most popular or the most played, and that would be A New Hope, with 20% of all playtime being spent on that particular episode, which I guess kind of does surprise me, because of course the game allows you to start with any one of the trilogies. It's really up to you. So it's interesting that A New Hope is the one that is obviously selected most often. In fact, not only is A New Hope the most popular episode to go on ahead and play, but the original trilogy as a whole is the most played trilogy with 3.7 million completions, which is a stunning number to hear. Maybe you're like me and you always try to 100% complete your LEGO games, which means you're very familiar with something called the Minikits, and a total of 231,630,612. I love the specificity of Minikits have been collected by players worldwide. Keep in mind that number would be far greater, or at least double that probably, if they went with the old school LEGO design where we had 10 Minikits per level instead of just the 5 that we got with this one. If you're curious to find out what character classes are the most popular in LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, this infographic gave us that information as well, revealing that the Jedi, the Scoundrels, and the Bounty Hunters are the 3 most popular classes, which honestly for me was a bit of a surprise, just because I really thought that the dark side characters or the Sith characters would definitely make that list. However, when I really started thinking about it, I was like, you know what? There are only 20 dark side characters, whereas the characters of the Jedi, there's 45 of them. So maybe that's why they didn't make this list. Now, speaking of characters, if you're curious to know which are the 3 most unlocked characters, those would actually be Classic Obi-Wan, The Mandalorian, and Quill. And I think the reason for that is because 2 of those 3 are DLC characters, and one of them, I guess technically is also DLC, but he was a pre-order bonus also. So it's interesting that those are the 3 characters that are most commonly unlocked across different copies of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga around the world. If you're curious about which characters on the light side are the most played, which Jedi do people play as the most often, they are Obi-Wan Kenobi, no surprise there, Luke Skywalker, no surprise there, but then this one is very surprising because it is actually Qui-Gon Jinn. I was particularly astounded to take a look at the information that said the most played characters from each class, where they essentially showed all the different classes available in the game and then the character that is most often selected for that particular class. And it seems like Luke and Obi-Wan are less popular, at least according to this information, than Qui-Gon Jinn, which is a very interesting development. Some of the other standouts here, of course, are Chewbacca being the most popular on the Scoundrel class, surprisingly so, more than Han Solo. R2-D2, obviously no surprise there for the droids. You have Rey for the scavengers. You have Darth Vader for the dark side. No surprise there. The Mandalorian for the bounty hunters. C-3PO for the protocol droids. Qui-Gon Jinn, as I previously mentioned, for the Jedi. Han Solo is actually more popular as a Stormtrooper class character than he is as a scoundrel, which is very interesting. Then you have Luke for the Tatooine attire. And last but certainly not least is the pod racer version of Anakin Skywalker. Now, since we talked about the most popular, let's talk about the least popular characters. And here is the lineup for this one. We have Bazine Natal, Captain PV, Chief Chirpa, Commander Daisy, Nambi, R3PO, R5-2JE, Snoke, which is interesting, Tasu Leech, and Yaral Poof. And if you're interested in the most played dark side characters, those are actually kind of not surprising whatsoever, because you basically, if I told you to think of a dark side character that represents each one of the trilogies, those would be the answers. You have Darth Vader representing the original trilogy, you have Darth Maul representing the prequel trilogy, and you have Kylo Ren representing the sequel trilogy. So you get a little bit for everyone. The Coruscant Federal District area is actually the most played area, with 6% of all playtime being spent in that particular area, and I guess on the planet of Coruscant as a whole. Speaking of which, Coruscant is obviously, as a result, one of 3 most visited planets in the game, with the other 2 being Tatooine and Naboo, which again, not really, I guess, that surprising, considering that those areas are so iconic and feature some incredibly iconic moments when it comes to Star Wars. Some other quick information here that I really cannot help but share is the fact that the most used land vehicle is actually the swoop bike, which, by the way, when did this thing become the swoop bike? I've always called it the speeder bike. Is this not a speeder bike? The total cutscene time for the game is actually only 2 hours, 42 minutes, and 40 seconds, which kind of surprises me because, you know, when you think of a game that has 45 levels, you kind of think that there are a lot of hours that you spend watching cutscenes, but this is actually kind of a low amount of hours, at least to me, it seems like, for a game as big as LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. And of course, I saved the most important information for last, because the average number of times that Luke drinks blue milk per hour when idle is 48 times. No, I'm kidding. The most important piece of information is, of course, something to do with gonk droids, and that would be that 730,000, yes, you heard me correctly, 730,000 hours, or roughly around 83 years, were spent riding on gonks. So yes, the gonk droids are taking over. In all seriousness, with all that out of the way, I do think that probably the most important piece of information here is the number of studs, aka the NSP, the dollar amounts that we always strive to collect in LEGO games that were collected so far. Currently, at the time of this infographic, sits at 289,959,000,000, and you know, the numbers go on and on. I mean, the numbers so absurdly large that it's ridiculous to even discuss, with an estimated value that you're currently seeing on your screen, which is just astounding, because we're talking about more than trillions at this point. Which, what's more than trillions? Google? That would be quadrillions. And my goodness, literally this number here is in the quadrillions of value. So there you have it, guys. A lot of fun information for LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga shared with this infographic. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. That would be very much appreciated. Also, down in the comment section below, let me know what is the piece of information that really stunned you, that surprised you, because I certainly was surprised by several of these pieces of information, just because I did not expect some of the character selections to be what they are. So there you have it, guys. That's the video. And if you'd like to check out 2 other videos that were posted on the channel, you can click one of 2 currently on your screen. Thank you so very much for your support. Peace out. See you later, alligators. Bye, everybody.